promise to you, there's someone out there.
What's up, Mob Crew? I'm Chris, and today's missing person case is Don. Also, today's person of interest is Olivia. Today's missing person case is Courtney.
Hello? Oh, nothing more creepier than a freaking shaft. Hello?
What's up, Mob Crew? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. I cover murder, mystery to the paranormal. And today we'll be covering the Kegan Kline confession. There's been some new details that came out, so we'll be going over that, listening a little bit to the murder sheet. And but before we get started, we always like to feature the missing. So today was a special request, and this is Lexi Lord, missing from Kansas City, Kansas. She went missing on September 16th. She is 5'2", 100 pounds. She has blonde strawberry hair, brown eyes. Alexis Lord is a missing/endangered runaway who went missing from Kansas City on September 16th between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. She has no identification, but she does have her cell phone that only works on Wi-Fi only. She has not been active on social media since Friday, September 16th. If you have any tips or have seen her, please contact the Kansas Police Department at 913-596-3000. Thank you guys so much. And now, onto our regular scheduled program. What's up, you geeks? I am the Mob Guy, and I have a confession to make. I have to confess to you guys, I have been copying somebody, and that person is Gary Huge. And also, I have another confession to make. I forgot. Oh, hold on. There we go. That's better. My second confession is I forgot to feed Fluffy last night. Fluffy is not happy with me. I am so sorry. Go easy on me, guys, please. Please, go easy on me. Okay, with all honesty, guys. All right, so before we get into today's show, the reason why I'm dressed up like this is I had to address something because it's just kind of gotten out of hand. And so I appreciate you guys bearing with me here for just 5 minutes so I can just get this out of the way. I'm not a drama channel. We don't like that stuff. Usually we just turn this stuff around on the other people and, just get a good laugh out of it. But anyway, this Gary Hughes has been basically saying that I've been copying his videos, copying his show, and he also keeps referring to one video in particular. So I have to quickly address this, just get it out of the way. Also, not only does he say that I, copied this one video, but he's like going on to say that people that are close to me are copying him, other content creators are copying him. And it's just kind of gotten out of hand. And, plagiarism is really bad. But what's worse than plagiarism is falsely accusing people of plagiarism without doing the proper research. So I'm going to quickly address what he's been talking about and put this thing to rest and put him in the timeout corner for a minute, because all he had to do was just do a little bit of research, and he would have known that this whole so-called, me copying his live show and quickly putting a video together is just nonsense. So what we're talking about real quick, and then like I said, we'll get on to Delphi. Like I said, thank you guys for being real cool about this. You guys know I hate drama, but we'll try to get a laugh out of it, and we'll move on. So yeah, please don't use his real name. We just call him by Gary Hughes, and please do not send him hate. We're better than that. And we'll talk about that at the very end before we get into Delphi. But please do not go and send hate. He's kind of been like this for a long time, but and I'll try to read your guys' comments here in a minute, but I'll try to get through this so we can get on to the actual show. But like I said, plagiarism is a big thing, because when you accuse someone of falsely plagiarism, it's defamation, it's doxing, and when you have a subscriber base, you have a responsibility for those viewers. So anyway, let's just get on to what he kept rambling about. And like I said, I just tried to ignore it, but he just kept bringing it up, and I had to hear about it. And so finally, I'm just going to quickly address it and put it to bed real quick. So he put out a video. So if you guys remember, obviously Kiely Rodni case, she went missing, and then AWP went out and they found her car on a Sunday, August 21st. And so everybody, went to make videos. And so Gary Hughes made a video, and he went live. So he did a show that was 3 hours and 24 minutes, I believe. Yeah, let me go back to the... So let's see. Yeah, 3 hours and 24 minutes. So his show ended at 7:30 my time. Now, I did a video where I uploaded, because I was trying to figure out where the car was being took out of, because that hadn't been known yet. So all the content creators were trying to figure out where the car actually went into the water. This was before they actually pulled the car out of the water. So I did a video just before he finished his live, where I basically said, I think the car is in this area here. But unfortunately, I was wrong. And anyway, he thought that I was watching his show, and then because he figures that he's the only one that can use, Google Earth Pro and match up the mountains, because that's what I did. Because at the time, like I said, before they pulled the car out, so we only had a couple pictures to work with. And so anyway, my video ended up being wrong. I thought it was more by the dock. And anyway, so I got a lot of views, and of course that made him mad. And then of course he saw when it was uploaded, it was just before his live finished. So he's like, oh, well, you copied my video. But he was right, because he got the actual location, right in his video. So that alone is like, well, so if I copied you, but I'm wrong and he's right, how does that work? But if he would have done just a little bit of research, just a little bit, and went back, before I made this video, I was live. I actually did 3 videos that day. And so I was live from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. my time on August 21st. And you can see the metadata here. So this is my, this is my live, and you can look up metadata, you can put in the video, and then find out the time code of when it was published. So my live finished just before 6 p.m. So, and my live was basically 2 hours. So I started at 4 p.m. So I was live from 4 to 6. He also went live shortly after that. I think he went live from 4:15 to 7 p.m. So he finished, or 7:30, excuse me. So he finished at 7:30. But during my live show, I did the same exact thing as I did in my, my solo video that I uploaded right after. And I was literally looking at Google Earth Pro during that live show while he was live. So I don't know how I could be watching his live while I'm doing my own live show. And all you had to do is just do a little bit of research, and you would have seen that I was live already looking these, trying to match up the picture of where the car was at and everything. As you can see, this is just some screenshots of the live show. And so anyway, so he's been accusing me. So yeah, right, this is where we're kind of the pictures we were working with. Like I said, this was when they'd found the car and they just had the buoy in the water, but they hadn't, pulled the car out. And that's when the helicopter came, and we had that overhead footage, which helped us, really, figure out where exactly the car was at. So anyway, so I wanted to address that because, like I said, just doing a little bit of research, you would have seen that I was already live. No, he didn't strike me, but he just said that I basically plagiarism, but he didn't look back and see that I was live before that. So there's no way I can be 2 places at once. That'd be great if there were 2 of me. So anyway, I just wanted to address that because, it's just kind of ridiculous. And he just keeps bringing that up. And then, like I said, I've been quiet about it because it's like, eventually he'll just let it go. But now, instead of him letting it go, he keeps bringing it up. And then he talks about other content creators that are close to me and how we all just watch his show and then we copy what he says and we do the same shows, which is actually ridiculous because if you look at like my past month and his past month, like 80% of it is different. I'm covering one case, he's covering another. So anyway, that's my rant. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to that, but I had to put that to bed because, it's ridiculous. And, like I said, plagiarism is a bad thing, but falsely accusing somebody of it is even worse. And, we had that incident with Doug from Northport where another YouTuber attacked, one YouTuber attacked another YouTuber and nearly died. I mean, he actually died and had to be resuscitated. So you'd think we'd learn, as content creators to stop doxing each other and just, either leave each other alone if you don't like them or come together, one of the two. But, it's ridiculous. And so, like I said, I had to get that off my chest. As you guys know, I'm not a drama channel, but it just got to the point. Like I said, these last 2 lives that he did, he was not only going after me, but he's going after more and more content creators. And it's like he just thinks that's okay. And it's not. And you've got a responsibility because you've got a big subscriber base. You don't know if one of those, I'm sure most of those people that follow him are decent people, but there might be that one person that may be, a huge fan, but may not be, all right in the head. And, that puts my family at risk. What if they try to go after me because, he's accusing of plagiarism. So anyway, I had to get that off my chest. Like I said, put that to bed. I'm sure this will get out to him so he can, do just a little bit of research, because if you're going to accuse somebody, you might want to take the time to make sure, what you're saying is, true, because, it's real. So anyway, thank you guys so much for letting me rant for a minute. I cannot tell you how itchy I am right now. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to play my short little video real quick so I can take this costume off. And then we'll get into some new details. We'll listen a little bit of the new podcast from the Murdersheet. If you haven't heard it, it's pretty interesting. I think they're going to do a couple of more parts to this. It seems like they're dropping a little bit of tidbits, each week or something like that. So, thank you, Aries Don. We know you better than that. We bit cranky. Yeah. Like I said, I don't do the drama, but it's not just me sticking up for myself. It's kind of sticking up for everybody that's just kind of, he feels like he can just throw under the bus. And so, because it's just got to stop, because it could lead to serious things. People just don't really, understand that, I guess. But I just quickly want to read that one more donation I missed. I'm sorry. Oh, it won't let me go all the way. Whoever donated at the beginning, I think it was Miss Dog Lover. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. Like I said, and please do not go and send, hey, that's not who we are here, at the Mob Crew. We're better than that. We take the high road, but this is just once in a, just a one-time thing that we have to, address. So, all right. So I'm going to play this video so I can get out of this, because this is really itchy. And I've got so much hair in my mouth right now. So I'm just going to play the video I put out earlier today, which is kind of going off what was addressed in the latest episode. And then we'll listen to the episode. I've also got some screenshots of things that maybe you guys haven't heard of before. So I'm excited to show you guys that. So I'm going to play this real quick. I love you guys, and we'll see you here in just a second.
But this burn pit search obviously was flying under the radar a little bit more, given that it was on private property and certainly less public facing.
And it's an important reminder that there are always more things going on in this case behind the scenes than are readily apparent to the public.
Only a coward would do such a thing.
What's up, Mob Crew? I'm Chris. In today's video, we're going over new details and the Kegan Kline's confession. Very interesting stuff. We'll go over that and more in today's video. Also, today's missing person case is Alexi Lord. She went missing out of Kansas City, Kansas. She will be featured at the end of my video, so please stay until the end for that. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the channel, everybody, where we cover murder, mystery, to the paranormal. So as we move closer to the pre-trial of Kegan Kline, we keep getting more tidbits of information about this confession that came from Kegan Kline. We learned over 2 weeks ago that he admitted to being there with his father that day of the double homicide. It's interesting to note that this first bit was dropped right after the search in the Wabash River had just finished, where there are rumors of 2 items being retrieved, a weapon and a phone, according to close sources. Keep in mind the local news have continued to point out that this could be in relation to the unsolved Delphi case, which the Indiana State Police have not once came out and denied that claim, but did say that it was police activity and not a training exercise. So now the murder sheet dropped a second bombshell with more to Kegan Kline's confession, where the story of what happened after Tony Kline supposedly committed this terrible crime. So according to Kegan, his father Tony was the one who used the Anthony Shots account to lure Libby to the Monon High Bridge that day. After arriving, apparently Kegan waited in the red Jeep while Tony met up and murdered Abby and Libby. Then after returning back to the Jeep, they went to Kegan's grandparents' home off Pawpaw Pike in Peru, Indiana. This is where we learn the new details where they supposedly used a burn barrel to dispose of evidence, most likely clothing and other items, but that's just my speculation.
What Kegan Kline told police happened. Kegan Kline told police that at some point after the murders, some crucial pieces of evidence were destroyed. And he says that these crucial pieces of evidence were just actually destroyed at a fire or burn pit located at the residence of Kegan's grandparents and Tony's parents.
Pawpaw Pike is where Kegan's grandparents live and is only 5 minutes from the country club residence of Travis Trexler, his cousin, and only 5 minutes from their home on Canal Street, which all of these residences are located very close to the Wabash River. Perhaps they tossed some evidence on the way back from Delphi or shortly after they burned evidence in a burn barrel. Perhaps we will learn more in an upcoming episode from the Murder Sheet. Once again, I must say it's tough for me to see Tony Kline as BG, and probably the biggest reason is that he stands over 6 feet apparently, but perhaps the reason they took the height down from the FBI.gov site is that he may be taller than the 5'6" to 5'10" as previously stated. And also looking at the video of BG walking on that bridge, he seems to be clearly looking down and kind of hunched forward, making him appear shorter than he really is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Please be respectful. All right, yeah, so you guys can hear me okay? Let's make sure because I just changed my thing. Hopefully, mic check. Yeah, I think you guys can hear me good. Okay, sweet. So yeah, we'll listen to a little bit of the podcast. For those that haven't heard it, we'll just listen to like the first 10 minutes where they just kind of talk about that actual burn barrel, which is interesting. We're just getting a little tidbits, clearly, I'm pretty sure, he confessed. Now, is he telling the truth or not? We'll find out. But if it was just like a confession and nothing else was going on, I'd be worried. But the fact that, they've had that search in the Wabash River going on, and what it sounds like there was other searches going on that we didn't even know about, that really gives me high hopes that, things are moving. I think we all wish it would move a lot faster, but it's gonna take a little bit. So let's listen to just first little part of that Murdersheet podcast where they just talk about the burnt barrels. We'll skip through it a little bit. Of course, I've asked for permission to play just bits and pieces.
Talking about horrific crimes can be
Content warning.
connected homicide.
Police about what happened on the day of the murders. Namely, you'll recall that we said that Kegan Kline told police that Kegan Kline actually was waiting inside a red.
I know I can't go back to her super chat, Miss Dog Lover. I don't know why it after so many things, it won't let me. I'm so sorry. I wanted to get everything out, and I thought I could go back. Thank you, Miss Dog Lover. If you just want to type it out in your next chat, and then I'll read it without, you don't have to super chat.
Jeep at the time the murders
And thank you, Jennifer.
were occurring. Now we're going to reveal a bit more about that story that he told. But before we do, we want to repeat the same warning we gave you last time, which is that Kegan Kline is a known liar.
Yes, Kegan Kline is a known liar. I think that you have to pretty much check, verify, look into everything that comes out of his mouth. So not only do we kind of include this caveat whenever we're kind of talking about stories that he's told, but, I think investigators also realize that this person is very challenged when it comes to telling the truth. I think people following this case should really fundamentally understand that.
Most of the activities of which he's been credibly accused of involve creating a life of deceit. The Anthony Shots social media accounts he ran were a complete fabrication. They were him trying to make himself seem younger and better looking and more successful than he really was. This is a man we cannot...
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for the super sticker and the previous one. And like I said, Miss Dog Lover, if you just want to type out what you said and then I'll read it.
Not stress enough. This is a man who lies about everything. And so we're going to tell you some more details about his story, but keep in mind he is a liar. So these additional details may be complete fabrications, they may be partially true, they may be completely true. But we have to approach it with a lot of skepticism.
Yes, I think skepticism and just, the acknowledgement that, we are trying to report on the direction this investigation is going. We are not endorsing Kegan Kline's story, and more of just trying to bring it to the attention of our listeners so they can understand what sort of activities and factors are going in behind the scenes on this very important case where people are searching for justice for Libby and Abby.
Okay, so I just want to address this. As far as I know, he's just out and about, but I'm not 100% sure. I've heard some people say they've seen sightings of Tony Kline, but I don't know if they're true or not. Curious to know what he's doing. I just said that this case is so close to my heart as my niece is now 13. The age of the girls, and I would die or kill for, oh, yeah. Also ignore GH, he is an idiot. Thank you so much, Miss Dog Lover. And thank you, I think it was $8.99. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I was just trying to get everything out so we could get on track. I really appreciate that. And thanks, Miss Stewie, for being a member for 6 months. Love the mob crew. Love Chris. Thank you so much. Okay, so now they're going to talk about this burn barrel, which is new.
And with that in mind, let's tell you a bit more about what Kegan Kline told police happened. Kegan Kline told police that at some point after the murders, some crucial pieces of evidence were destroyed. And he says that these crucial pieces of evidence were just actually destroyed at a fire or burn pit located at the residence of Kegan's grandparents and Tony's parents.
We told you a bit about those two individuals in a previous episode where we discussed Tony Kline's background, and we'll link to that in our show notes. But this is Jerry Kline and Linda Kline.
And we will say that in the past, we made an effort to speak with Linda Kline, and she made it clear that she was not interested in having a conversation with us.
And Jerry...
So just to point out, and I know I did just in this video that we just played. Let's see. That's probably a good one. So just to kind of show you guys where everything's kind of at. So you've got the house, the 67 Canal Street, which was the house that Tony and his dad, Kegan and Tony, were living in at the time in 2017 when the girls were murdered. So that was here. Then you have the grandparents' home, which is on Papa Pike, which is like 5-6 minutes down the street, which is here. And of course, that's where they disposed of the evidence. They don't say what exactly. I would go on a limb to say at least clothing, you know. And then just north of that, 5 minutes away, is where the cousin lives, Travis Trexler, which is a country club road. So you've got all these locations that are just, you know, within all of them, no more than like, you know, 8 to 10 minutes from each other. And then right by it is where that the Wabash River search was going on, which was right here. So as I said, there's a lot of things, a lot of coincidences just kind of keep adding up. Pretty interesting.
Kline has actually passed away. He passed away earlier this year.
Before we go into what the police did with this information, I think it might be helpful to actually discuss what a burn pit or a fire pit is. I know when we recently moved back to Indiana, Anya was surprised to actually find a burn pit in our backyard. Our new backyard.
I'm going to skip this forward a little bit.
What a burn pit was.
Well, yeah, I where I'm from, have to deal with that. Apparently, that can be kind of a thing here.
And a burn pit is
and obviously there's different types of burn pits. Like I just showed a burn barrel, but obviously, you know, it's just like a campfire pit that's built into the, you know, backyard in the ground. Just basically a campfire. There's different kinds, but I guess they had something like that in the back of their in the grandparents' yard.
Basically, simply put, it is an area on your property which you have designed to be a place where you can safely burn things, usually trash. And that is a relatively common thing here in Indiana. It's not terribly unusual, especially in rural areas.
I'd probably want to ask him before I did that, but I'll have to check it out. I like Tom Webster. Think of it. Pretty sure. Yeah, Tom Webster. Yeah, he's... Yeah, I haven't seen that interview, though. I'm sure it's interesting, though.
So, the story is that some evidence
burn barrel. Yeah, that's why I showed burn barrel.
Burn pit on the property of Tony Kline's parents, Kegan Kline's grandparents. And the first thing that comes to mind is that if something was burned there 5.5 years ago, it is extraordinarily unlikely that there would be any remains of that evidence today.
No, because not only was whatever those items were, which we don't know, set on fire, they also were then set on fire again and again, subsequently every time the burn pit was used. Yeah,
if they never cleaned that out, then yeah, whatever was in there is most likely gone. Unless they were dumb enough to, like, I don't know, spread out their stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, whatever they burnt, you know, if this story is true, then that's kind of a bummer. That's why, you know, I'm really betting on, you know, the stuff that, you know, it's been speculated that may have been found in that Wabash River.
Yes, if you burn something, if you burn a piece of trash and it's consumed by fire, and then like the next day or the next week you burn more trash, and the week or the month after that you continue to burn trash, everything's going to be consumed and be pretty much destroyed. But with all of this said, the state police, the investigators, realize that you have to follow every lead. And we believe that's something they really try hard to do. And so they followed this lead and they conducted a search or a bit of a dig at the burn pit at the residence of Tony Kline's parents.
Wow. So that's something when I first listened to this, because I'm always doing multiple things, because I'm always either getting ready for a video or so a lot of times I'm always doing two things when I'm listening to, the latest podcast, and that kind of flew over my head. I must have been not paying attention. So they basically said that they searched, sometime in the last month or so, or 2 months, that they went and, because it's called the Delphi Murders, the Other Search. So while the Wabash River search was going on and everybody was obviously fixated on that, which is a good distraction, they were also at this Papa Pike. Let me pop that up. Did I put it away? I did. So, while they were over here doing the search, they were also at some point in maybe August or September digging up the backyard at the grandparents' home. I'm not sure if they still do we know if they still lived there? Because I know the grandfather passed away, Tony's dad passed away. So I wonder what Linda is doing.
And let's talk a little bit about process. We talked about this some in terms of the Ron Logan search. Typically, when the police want to conduct a search, they have a couple of options. One is you can simply go to the property owner and say, we'd like to search, can you give us permission? Now, in most cases, a property owner is understandably reluctant to let police onto their property to conduct a major search. So what would law enforcement do in a situation like that?
Basically, file an affidavit to obtain a search warrant, a probable cause affidavit that would explain to a judge, here's what we're looking for specifically. You can't just say we're going to just go cruise around and, ransack the house randomly. You have to say we're looking for this based on whatever evidence that we have kind of indicating that this could be important. And the idea is to convince a judge, here's why our reasoning is good enough to disrupt this property owner's privacy, and why we feel we need to do this. So the case needs to be good enough to
it does. Okay.
Elicit that sort of reaction from a judge, although it's certainly not the same thing as being able to charge somebody or, eventually.
I think they made it sound like a burn pit, not a burn barrel. So burn pit is more, because a burn barrel burns hotter. So there's a big difference between a burn pit and a burn barrel. Because a burn barrel is made, you can actually, the purpose of a burn barrel, and not just a barrel, and we're not just talking about a barrel that's just standing up, that you see like maybe the homeless use and stuff. We're talking a barrel that's on its side, and then you kind of like flip open, put stuff in, and then it's got like a few, holes in it so oxygen can get in. But that's so it can burn really hot. Because, if you ever followed, what is it? Becoming a Murderer with the Stephen, I can't think of his name. But that case, because they found that poor girl scattered in many different areas, but they said that they accused him of burning her body in that pit. But they said there's no way that they could consume that whole body just in your typical bonfire because there's so much energy. It doesn't get hot enough to actually melt like bone and, cremate. But a burn barrel can kind of get up to those degrees. So that's why a burn barrel would do a lot. But they make it sound like it's just a, something like this or maybe even something like this. That does not look like a burn pit at all. Close that. So either something standing out like this or where it's kind of buried in the backyard deep. Mainly, more or less the same thing. Should put burn pit in backyard. That'd probably look. Yeah, so something like this is what it sounds like. This sounds like, what they have. But, making a murder. watch so many shows. It's crazy. So they make it sound like it's something like this. So it could have left some evidence behind if it doesn't burn hot enough. I don't know, maybe some metals or something could have survived. But 5 years, 5.5 years, that's a long time.
Convict them. It's basically saying, here's what we have that's good enough that we feel like we need to look further. As far as I understand it, in layman's terms. Obviously, you're the attorney, not me.
That's basically it, and I really think it's important, that point you made, that a probable cause to conduct a search is very different from a probable cause to arrest someone. And so if you have probable cause for a search, that does not mean you have probable cause for an arrest.
Yes. And could you conceivably receive successfully file an affidavit and obtain a search warrant basically based on, here is this witness who says that this material was burned here. Can we go look? Would that be something that would likely entice a judge to signing off on this?
I think so. I would not be surprised if that was all it took.
I don't know. That's what's the results from the dog hair they found. I don't know, but I think that's good evidence to have, though, if that was found at the murder scene. And obviously, from what we have heard, they did take. So Cujo is the dog the name of the dog of Tony and I don't know if it's Tony Kline's, Tony and or Kegan's pet, but they did. Sorry, the dogs are like going off crazy. It's weird. But yeah, so Cujo, they did. I think they did take some samples when they first did the warrant back in 2017.
We don't know the ins and outs on this. We're just trying to
explain. Or it might have been in 2020.
Everyone in the audience, what goes behind some of these decisions when we're talking about a search, especially of someone's private property.
All we know at this point is that the police took Kegan's story seriously enough on this point that they went out and they searched this burn pit.
Yes. And of course, the water search dominated a lot of attention recently, understandably so. It was a major undertaking by the Indiana State Police and by the dive team there, and it went on for weeks. And it also, sort of was very public, given that it was occurring in the Wabash River and in full view of passersby and media sort of coming by to observe. But this burn pit search obviously was flying under the radar a little bit more, given that it was on private property and certainly less public facing.
And it's an important reminder that there are always more things going on in this case behind the scenes than are readily apparent to the public. We all saw the water search, but even though that was happening, there were other things happening. And there are things happening at all times in this case that are not readily apparent to the public. The police and law enforcement take this case very seriously.
And it's a situation where
Okay, so we'll pause it there. Our burn barrel was standing upright. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never clearly owned a burn barrel. I always picture them on the side for the ones I've seen. But yeah, it makes sense. I mean, sure. Do you think DNR? So I'm glad you brought that up, because so this guy, the Unsolved, which I'm going to give him a shout out because apparently he was in contact with Kegan's former cellmate, and he said he vetted him. And then he produced some documents, and the documents look real to me. So this is apparently, this guy, his initials are DNR. That could be made up. I don't know. But, he's a cellmate with Kegan. And so here's like some artwork he did for Kegan. And apparently that's Kegan's girlfriend or fiance. And then he showed some documents. This is like notice of disciplinary action. Doesn't say much, but So really, he showed some documents about an incident, which was a grievance, because apparently this DNR guy was trading his artwork for goods from Kegan, and apparently, so I guess they have these little bracelets, kind of like, if you came from the hospital or something, from the ER, that's got like your name, and they can scan them and stuff. I guess it's something like that. I'm not 100% sure on it. Maybe so you can get around to certain places or commissary. And sorry, I just got to get a little bit light. Usually if it's too light, there we go. That's a little better. So anyway, I guess he loaned out this bracelet and got in trouble for it. So then they did a grievance, and so he produced that document. And I mean, it looks legit. And then there's another document he produced, which is, I think, just part of this grievance. Yeah, so this is just, all these are just kind of like each page of the grievance, I guess. But this was what apparently he sent to him. So now please take this with a grain of salt. We don't know if all this is true or not, but some of this does add up to what we've heard. So he says, so this is coming from the former inmate. He says, Kegan told me that he created the catfish profile to talk to girls, but that his dad often used it as well, and he was the one who asked the girls to meet by the bridge. Kegan told me that he went to Delphi to meet the girls, but he stayed in the Jeep while his dad went down to meet them. Kegan told me he did not have anything to do with killing the girls, but he helped dump them where they were found. Kegan told me that the feds offered him a dinner, a bottle of champagne, and a hotel room to testify against his father, where he could take his fiancée Holly out to date. Kegan told me that he would not tell on his dad. It's the FBI's job to prove it. Also, he told me the feds offered him immunity in exchange for his testimony. After being locked up in the 600 block of Miami County jail with him, I believe that his dad killed the girls and Kegan was an accessory. There might be a third person involved, but he never mentioned a third person to me. I saw the evidence pictures, which is interesting, of his discovery. So he said, I saw the evidence pictures of his discovery. And now that I'm out, I can see more pictures of his dad. And I personally feel like he matches the description of Bridgeman, but I could be wrong. I based my opinion on the pictures of what Kegan told me personally. However, the only thing that makes sense to me at all is that he has right. It's the Fed's job to prove it. So, thank you so much, Rainy Days. Not this Ollie. Ollie's like, not this Ollie. That's funny. Thank you so much, Rainy Days, for the super sticker. So like I said, take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, if you did confess, I'm sure it would have been based on immunity and time served or something. Obviously, it's got to be a pretty big deal. This has been unsolved for 5.5 years, but I still feel like there's more to the story. They say it's Kegan and his dad, but who knows? Maybe it's kind of a ploy, and they're kind of having us look and make it think it's Tony, and then last minute they're gonna, because they don't want to alert to the real BG. That's always been kind of one of my other theories, that they're kind of, the confession is part true, but the actual person that's BG is possibly somebody else. But that's just a secondary theory. What was the other thing I was going to show you guys? So we talked about the bird barrel, and then obviously they were doing the search there. One more thing I want to do. dress. Oh, so I've been talking with some people behind the scenes because, obviously even I talked about it since day one. Like, I find it really hard to, you've got, Tony Kline, who stands at, somewhat over 6 feet. I've heard 6'3", I've heard 6'1". I'm sure he's at least 6 feet. I think that's fair to say. But like I said in my last video, it could be a great possibility that, he could be taller than he appears because, this bridge, with how dangerous it is, obviously this guy's making a lot of ground. But at the same time, to do that, he's got to have his head down, clearing those gaps because it's a dangerous bridge that's got, these different sized gaps in between the, rail ties. And so clearly he's looking down and more likely hunched to a degree. And so there could be a bigger discrepancy in that height. And that could be the reason why, one of the many reasons they took that the 5'6" to 5'10" height down is because, he is kind of hunched over, and you could see, where is that? Appear to be shorter, and and then you stand up tall, and so he could look, 5'9", 5'10" in the video, and then he's just because he's kind of hunched over, but when he's standing tall, he's his 6'1", 6'2", or whatever. So let's see. That's always been my biggest gripe about Tony being BG, for sure. Chris, who else would have driven the Jeep? Tony Kline doesn't look the type of guy who would let someone else drive it. No, so Laura, basically what they're saying is that they drove there. So Tony drove because that's his Jeep. They drove there. Then Kegan, for whatever reason, sat in the Jeep while the the horrific murder took place. And then when they got back, apparently, in this little text message I just showed you guys, this former inmate says that the dad said he needed help to move the bodies or whatever. And then they came back, and then obviously Tony would have, looking for the red Jeep here. There it is. So, and then obviously from there, they would have drove and pull up. They could have took this route here, and which is only an hour away. And this actually will take you just south of Flora, and that'll actually just take you right over that bridge, the Kiely Bridge, where that they could have tossed, some of the evidence. And then it says that they went to this Pop Pike after, the murders, and disposed of evidence in a burn pit. So. Oh, sorry. I still got hair in my mouth. Oh my gosh, wearing that fake mustache, it just sheds so bad. Got the Captain Howdy. What's up? Always an honor to have you in the show. Same with you, Fig. I saw you in here. Always a pleasure and an honor. I think we covered everything I wanted. Yeah, he's hunched over for sure. Yeah, it could definitely, throw you off 3 or 4, at least 2 to 3 inches for sure. Right. Yeah, it's amazing. I've seen some videos where these people are like, because they've always been kind of slouched, and they've grown like 2 or 3 inches just from like working on their posture. It's crazy. I've always heard of people losing, their stature. Even my cousin, because he was on a bobcat and it bounced, and he actually, his spine actually kind of, started compressing. So he's like 3 inches shorter. Popeye Pike is a county road. So yeah, it's kind of crazy that all those, they're all just right there too. Let's do Google Maps real quick. So yeah, it's literally just one road, that they go down to, so you got Travis Trexler, and then keep in mind, this is where supposedly, Kegan's phone was pinging off of here. And then, they're supposedly, after the murders, went to this Papa Pike and burned some evidence. And then it's only, what does that say? Yeah, just 10 minutes from that residence to the residence where they were living at the time, just 10 minutes. And then you've got the Kiely Bridge just right here, which they could have either tossed something before going there or after. But make sure I got everything. So like I said, I appreciate you guys. Hey, Captain, liked your height demo. Ooh, I got to check that out. Did you do a height demo? Ooh. If you follow Delphi Case and you haven't heard of Captain Howdy, I would please go check him out. He does amazing videos. I was a huge fan way before I was a YouTuber when I was invested in this case. Well, when I first got invested into it, which is about 2 years into it. And I was hooked. And I would say he was a big inspiration for the videos that I put together because he does them so well. He adds emotion. It's just something that I'm a huge fan of. And then obviously Vig Solves has come around and has brought a lot to the table recently. So both of them, please go check them out. Amazing YouTubers. So I just, I feel like if we don't hear anything about a delay with the pre-trial, I think that might be a good sign, in my opinion. If there's no more delays, and maybe, the still is maybe still up on the table if they find everything they need to prosecute. And I really feel that, if whoever BG is, they're going to probably take him quietly as possible. I'm sure it'll get out, but I'm sure they're going to do it, when we're not looking. At least that would be my 2 cents on that. So. Okay. Would you like me to play it on this, Captain, or I could just put a link to your channel? I don't know if anyone is aware, but there's a shitty YouTuber here in UK called Armchair Detective. Reminds me a lot of GH. I've never heard of Armchair Detective. But thank you so much, Miss Doglover, for 49. God, that's so okay. What's so funny about this height thing that Captain Howdy's talking about? So this would be so funny. So I did something yesterday. Where is it? You guys know I like doing experiments, but then I kind of realized people had already kind of done it. But I had actually kind of done something similar myself, where I was marking. So I marked how tall I am, which is 6'2", and then I went to 5'8", and then I put tape at the 6'2" and tape at the 5'8" spot. Now keep in mind the top of the tape is where 5'8" would be, and the top of the tape is 6'2". And then so, hear me standing straight up and then trying to hunch. And of course I don't get to the 5'8", but I could almost get about halfway, which, that's a good 2-3 inches that, could deceive anybody. Plus you've got the bridge that's different levels. So there's so many factors that, we just don't know. Okay, cool. Permission to play his video. How cool is that? Let's check it out. This is the first minute. So we are going to... I bet you it's going to pop up too. It should be up here. Captain Howdy. So I'll play just a little bit of it. So his new video is called Delphi Murders. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Ooh. Actually, I better turn down the music. I don't know if that's copyright music. That's okay. That's not far off.
I went to the bridge to finish something that I...
So if he's hunched over, that didn't look far off at all. I mean, and obviously, so let's just back that up and let me...
wanted to do for some time now.
That's really cool that you guys did that. And shout out to the team that helped you with that. Yeah, we're going to pin that at the top. So you can see his hat right here. I mean, we're looking at, I'm trying to kind of, 5, 6, gotcha. Well, I mean, his hat's right here. That 6 foot mark is not far off. And you got to think he's hunched over. He could literally just stand up straight and there'd be, a good 2-3 inches. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, shout out to the team. Let me go back to the beginning to that. Sorry, I gotta move my mic. Is it at the beginning? Oh, there it is. To HCC for spending. Okay, so they just go by HCC. So shout out to them for filming that. That's amazing. I like that. That's pretty cool. That's just so. Oh man, that's so. That's just so crazy because me and Jennifer were just talking about how the height, could be really deceiving, just because he could be, hunched over, and then just looking how many inches somebody can be. Let me pull this back up here just one more time. But like this guy 5'9" and 5'11". I've seen a couple of big dick, like 3 to 4 inches. Some people, so that's pretty cool. That's awesome. Thanks so much, Captain Howdy, man. Pleasure, man. And I can't wait to watch that whole video. And what's up, Swift Initiation? Another guy that covers Delphi, definitely check him out. Amazing job. And then, of course, True Crime Web, former detective, does a lot of experiments. Another person I would recommend checking out his videos as well. So, let's see. We've been going on for 1 hour. Yeah, I think, yeah, and Vig as well. Sorry, starting to lose my voice. So, if you guys didn't catch the beginning, I had to, like I said, I had to make a statement to a certain somebody. So hopefully he gets that message and understands that, you know, maybe next time before you accuse somebody of plagiarism, you know, do a little research. And, you know, so we don't have to do this kind of thing. But it was kind of fun to pull out the costume, you know. Still choking on the hair fibers from the mustache here. So, Captain who? The Captain Howdy. I used to know him as the Captain, but he added Captain Howdy. But he covers true crime, or I mean, he covers the Delphi Murders. Does an amazing job. So, and there's Sleuth Initiations videos channel as well. So, all right, guys, what's up, Espresso Like Us? Good to see you. I think we're gonna end it there. And what's today? Friday. So there's a couple of things for the members. I'm gonna do a little special with the Gary Huge for the members. So look forward to that if you guys are Gary Huge fans. And then we'll probably go live, and then I'll probably go live tomorrow. And then also we're making our plans for the Skinwalker Ranch sometime next week. Not sure if it's going to be at the middle of the week or at the end. So, but that's coming up real soon. So excited to do that. But then, of course, when there's new information that comes out, we'll keep you guys updated. And like I said, shout out to the mods. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for all your hard work. And just everybody. Oh, no. Oh, you got to see it. You have to. So, with that said, guys, I'm going to play the outro for the pets. You guys are amazing. Love you guys. And we'll probably see you guys tomorrow. So.
Mm-hmm.